I got the brand new phone right here, the Asus Zenfone 11 Ultra, just announced by Asus. And this is a first look at the brand new phone. It's a hands-on. I'm gonna break down all the features, what we know, and my first impressions of the Zenfone 11 Ultra. Tech it before you wreck it. What's up, geeks? I'm Kirk, and I'm really thrilled to have this just announced as I shoot this video. I got an early preview of this thing, the Zenfone 11 Ultra, the newest phone from Asus. If you haven't yet, check out my unboxing video where I show you what comes inside the box of this brand new phone. Now, this isn't going to be a full review. I need a couple of weeks with the phone to do that, but this is a first impression as I get my hands on this phone for the first time. And the first thing you'll notice if you're somebody who's used the Zenfone line before is that this is a much bigger phone than the Zenfone 10. In fact, the Zenfone 10 was known for being one of the last remaining smaller form factor phones. It had a 5.9-inch screen. This thing finally takes the Zenfone into the larger format phone world. I'm not sure if everyone's gonna like that because a lot of people like the Zenfone because it was still sort of small. This, on the other hand, has a 6.7-inch screen, so it's a lot like other flagship phones. It's a beautiful AMOLED screen. My first impressions after powering this thing up, the screen is gorgeous, guys. The bezel is super thin, it's got rounded corners. Asus says it has a 94% screen to body ratio, almost no bezel at all. It has a really cool feature, a variable refresh rate. We're seeing this in phones now. They say they can take the phone automatically down to as low as 1 hertz just to save battery life, and as high as 144 hertz boost mode for when you're gaming on the phone. In terms of the build, this is one of 4 colors they're going to be selling this in. This one is called Skyline Blue, and I got to tell you, when I first pulled this out of the box, I was kind of wowed. It's a gorgeous kind of light bluish color. I really like it a lot. I like the iridescent back of the phone. It just looks sleek. It feels high-end. So the aluminum in this thing, they say, is 100% recycled aluminum, and it does feel like a sturdy build. You can feel kind of the metal chassis around the outside of the phone. It's thick, it's got a little bit of weight to it, not too much. I really like the build of this phone. And you will notice, because of that thickness, it actually has something in the bottom that we don't see too often, a proper headphone jack. Whether or not that matters to you anymore, I feel like most of us have moved on from the headphone jack, but it is there just in case you're looking for it. Okay, let's go inside the new Zenfone 7 Ultra. It's got a Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 processor. This is one of the newest Snapdragon processors, so this thing is going to scream through apps with that processor. It's got 12 gigs of RAM, 256 gigs of storage. You've got a 5,500 milliamp battery, which is a pretty decent sized battery for this phone. They say you can get over 24 hours of usage on a single charge. You've got a 65 watt fast hypercharge, so it can charge up pretty fast when you plug it in. And on wireless charging mode, because it does support Qi, it supports 15 watt wireless charging. Cameras, always important. On the back of this thing, we've got 3 cameras. Let me break those down for you. First, there's a 50 megapixel camera. That's got the 6-axis gimbal stabilization built in, something that we also saw with the previous Zenfone 10. Then you have a 13 megapixel wider angle camera, and then you've got a 32 megapixel telephoto zoom lens, but it uses what's called pixel binning. A lot of phones are starting to use this technology, where it basically takes 4 of those pixels, combines it into one, and then it outputs an 8 megapixel photo, but pixel binning means you can get better low light performance. Very similar sensor, if not the same, on the front for those selfie photos. It's a 32 megapixel sensor with pixel binning, so it knocks that down to an 8 megapixel outputted photo. In my brief testing, photos look pretty good. The video, I like the stabilization feature. You can tell there's some gimbal action going on there. It definitely makes a difference, but I've got to test it out a lot more to get a better idea of how those photos are appearing and how those videos are looking. Well, like so many other companies, artificial intelligence, the highlight of what Asus launched today. So they've got a bunch of AI features that frankly I haven't had much time to test out yet, but here's what we're talking about. They've got AI noise cancellation for when you're recording audio on the phone or when you're making phone calls. It's got speech-to-text translation from one language to another, which is really cool. So you could theoretically have a conversation with somebody in a different language and you can hear them talking to you using that voice translation. I think it'll be cool to test that out. You've also got AI-generated wallpapers built in. You've got real-time on-device transcription, something that we've seen with the Google Pixel phones and other phones as well. Nice to be able to transcribe notes right to your phone in real time, even if you don't have a network connection. Again, I hope to test out those AI features in more depth as I really get to using this new phone from Asus. Overall, let me break down my impressions, my first impressions. First and foremost, nice, solid build. The phone feels sturdy, the phone feels good. I like the thickness, I like the weight, kind of a good balance of enough weight, but not too heavy. It feels good in the hand, no question about that. And it looks good in the hand too. In terms of performance, I haven't run any benchmarks on this thing quite yet, but I can tell you it feels snappy. You've got that Snapdragon 8 processor in there, Gen 3. It feels like it's got that processor in there. The screen is gorgeous. The colors kind of pop. I like the thin bezel. I like the rounded corners. It all just looks very clean, looks very well put together. Now, if this phone looks familiar to you, you may have seen the ROG Phone 8, also from Asus, that just came out a couple of months ago. It's a very, very similar phone. Check out my unboxing video. I take these two phones, put them side by side. If you want to see that, my unboxing video is right here on my channel as well. At the end of the day, my first impressions are really good of the Asus Zenfone 11 Ultra. I want to know what questions you have about this phone. Pop those in the comments below as I get my proper testing underway here, and hope to have a much more in-depth review coming up soon on this channel. A lot of cool tech videos, unboxings, reviews, just geeky stuff in general. If you're into that, make sure you subscribe to the channel here. Tech it before you wreck it. I'm Kirk.